Welcome to the live stream here from McCready and Siskey, powered by Rain Total Body Fuel. I'm Neal. That's Tyler here on this Thursday afternoon. It's July the 10th. Hope everyone's having a great week. Appreciate you being here with us.
I'm going over under 45 seconds.
Okay, I'll go over 45 seconds.
All right. I'll go 2 minutes. Let's go 2 minutes.
Probably closing in on the correct
answer.
Yeah.
All right, we got to have a periodic check.
Oh, gosh.
We're up to shenanigans up here.
I mean, a little bit.
Just a little bit. Just have fun.
Having a fun day.
We're just having a fun day. It's Thursday. People want to have fun. It's okay. Don't take things so serious.
Not so serious. Exactly.
Yeah. We're going to talk about a little bit of that today. People take things a little too serious these days.
They do get serious.
They do get serious.
I got an email today. We can talk about it on the main show.
I think we should just start up, fire it up, talking about Chet Holmgren's new contract. What do you think? I think we should just fire it off. Any other off-season NBA things that get you rolling? How about that 7-team trade involving
that's
Kevin
crazy.
Durant?
That's crazy trade, wasn't it?
Let's talk all the NBA we can talk about.
He goes, you can't help yourself. The amount of NBA coverage is ridiculous. You probably have a mostly middle-aged white male listeners. They don't watch the NBA. I'm not listening again. I mean, okay. The question I have, like there's a restaurant in town that I've tried several times over the years, and I just don't like it.
Okay.
I'm not naming
because I probably like it. I do like all. It's hard for me to find food I don't like.
It's nothing personal. It's just I just don't like it.
Okay.
It's fine.
Fair.
If I were starving, it would be fine, but I'd have to be. I don't like it. Simple as that.
It's fair.
It's fine.
It's fair.
I can't imagine calling them or emailing them to tell them I don't like your food and I'm not coming there anymore. I just don't think y'all are very good. I think you're overrated. I just can't imagine doing it.
Yeah. It's like when you do lists and like, I can't believe you got them on the list. Okay, well, how about this? You go get your show. You put it up there. You don't have to put them on there. It's called an opinion. Life advice brought to you by Cold Waters.
And so my response was.
Oh, you responded?
I did.
Okay.
My response was. Oh, let me find it again. I said, what in God's name are you talking about? And he said, listen to your podcast. I have a group text of everybody making fun of you for the NBA shit. And I said, okay, I mean this respectfully.
You got a whole group thread that's talking shit.
I said, okay, I mean this respectfully, but I don't care. I doubt if you, me, and the people in your group text would be buddies. Take care. I mean, what else is there to say? That's crazy to me. I get that kind of stuff sometimes, and it's like, really?
So Twitter, because of other mediums that we're on, when people post comments, everybody sees them. And, Twitter has the views on the comments. So you'll hit the mentions from time to time and you'll get some guy that really pisses you off. You know what I mean? On Twitter.
Yeah.
Okay. You may miss this when you get about half a bottle deep in your wine sometimes, but you'll look at the comments.
Oh, I've done much better about if I've opened anything, I put the Twitter away.
Okay. We got a passcode on it.
I put the Twitter away. It's gone.
Got an eye thing. It checks the dilation of the pupils.
Well, I mean, Laura has now learned to be like, if she sees me pick up my phone and she's like, what are you doing?
Those are the best Neal tweets, though. Like, it's entertaining for me.
They're entertaining, but I think they create problems.
But they're fun. I enjoy them. I get the popcorn and just start watching you go after people. All right, but you get pissed off and you're like, you want to say something, and you look down, and it's like, oh, this has been seen 3 times. You look who's followed him, and everybody that follows the guy has the same last name, right? So nobody sees them. So, it is what it is. Ready to crank her up?
Yeah, I'm ready.
No Diddy?
His camp doesn't like me. That's true. But like today on the podcast, I don't think we talked about the NBA until like an hour in, and even then it was in the context
of something else,
of the way media cover things.
Well, I'm petty, so now I'm going to try to relate every single topic today to the NBA somehow. I don't know how I'm going to do it.
The day before,
we're going to figure it out.
The day before, literally, we were in the middle of the show, and Chase. I'm not blaming Chase here.
It's always Chase's fault. He's the one that brings it up.
He usually brings it up.
It's his fault, Chase.
But Chase said, "Hey, breaking news: Chet Holmgren agreed to the rookie, max second contract extension, whatever." And I was like, "Hell yeah, let's go!" Because I like Chet. I mean,
good player.
Let's do this. And today it was about the way media people write about Summer League has sort of ruined Summer League.
Yeah.
And it was just a real quick little thing. It wasn't even, it's bizarre to me. And it's like, I'm sorry, did we not talk about all the football games that happened last night? Let's talk about the football games coming up this weekend.
How about I'm sure there's like a 2032 recruit out there that got offered this week. We can talk about him.
Let's talk about that 7th grader down at Cypress Springs, Texas. He just cut his list down to 42 schools.
Did I mention he put on deodorant for the first time last week?
He hadn't shaved yet.
Hadn't shaved yet though, but he did do.
But he thought about it.
He did go get him a little right guard this weekend.
And he's playing NCAA. What's the game called?
NCAA 26.
He's playing 26, and this week he played as Baylor. What does it mean?
He was online. What does it mean? All right, let's do this. We're pissing off everybody today. We've already started. Deep.
Welcome into episode 290 of McCready and Siskey, powered by Rain Total Body Fuel. I'm Neal McCready. That is Tyler Siskey here on this Thursday afternoon, deep inside the week that is, as we get you ready for the weekend. Get you ready for the weekend. They're playing ball on TV. Twins and Cubs there in Minnesota. Twins trying to finish off a sweep of the Cubs. Cubs trying to salvage the third game. They lead 7-1 in the bottom of the 7th, heading to the 8th now, actually. So they're deep inside that game there in Target Field in Minneapolis. We're brought to you each and every show by our friends at Rain Total Body Fuel. Tyler's deep into a can of peach.
No, this is strawberry apricot.
Strawberry apricot. He is deep inside that can of Rain Total Body Fuel. So he's well on his way to having 300 milligrams of natural caffeine, BCAAs, electrolytes, no sugar. It's got what you need to push the limits and achieve your goals. You can check them out on Instagram at Rain Body Fuel to learn more.
As Neal said, I'm enjoying the strawberry apricot today. Needed a little rain, a little pick me up. I'm going to go smoke some wings here in a little bit. Got to get some juice ready to go. I've turned into this dead period because dead period for the NCAA means it's kind of dead for us at Quick U. I've done bad things at the grill, so I needed some of this to get me through this afternoon. Going to smoke some wings this afternoon. I end up taking a couple of little Diet Millers too many.
But the Traeger, as someone who has thought really hard about buying a Traeger now for about 3 months, and I haven't done it, but I give it a lot of thought. Sometimes I'll go to Shaw Ace Hardware in Oxford. I love.
You put
Shaw's.
me on that, by the way. Sneaky place to find good rubs. No Diddy or no Tucker.
I think it's the best place in town to get rubs.
That's good. I was
Spice
unaware.
rubs, not rubs. Beats me.
Just saying.
No, but I love that place. But anyway, they have a couple of Traegers that sometimes I just go stare at.
All right, look. I told Chase because
you just program it right to a temperature.
You put your temperature and it goes, and if it'll get it there, and then once it gets it starts dropping, it'll feed more. It's smoking for dummies. Okay, however, that's all I can do. Like I have no chance at a green egg. Okay, the guys who go out there and like sit there and monitor I have no chance. Okay, I know my strengths, I know my weaknesses. I have zero chance of smoking anything without a pellet grill. That's just me personally. Mm-hmm. There's things I can do.
Sure.
I'll bet you right now I can hit a 7-iron further than anybody that uses a green egg. There's some things we can do, some things we can't, right?
I don't know how far I can hit a 7-iron. I don't know where the ball's going to go, but yeah.
That's what I'm saying. There's some things you can do.
Yes.
Some things you can't.
Yes.
Just is what it is.
That is true.
It is what it is. All right, Neal, the Cooper Chevrolet chat is already bumping, and through the end of the month, you can save up to $14,500 off the brand new Chevy Silverado pickups when you take advantage of the trade and down payment assistance. That's over 19% below MSRP. Just announced at Cooper Hyundai, you can get a new Hyundai Santa Fe SUV or a Santa Fe hybrid at 0% APR for 60 months at Cooper Hyundai in Anniston. You can also go online at Cooper Hyundai, or you could just give them a call at area code 256-236-4481. Neal, we're also brought to you by the official RV dealer of McCready and Siskey, County Line Campers, down there right off of I-10, exit 38 in Gulfport, Mississippi. You can go see Rob, go see Miss Destiny. And at County Line Campers, you can save up to 90% off of MSRP on their huge lineup of pre-loved RVs, like a brand spanking new FR3, or like new, brand spanking like new FR3 Class A motorhome, as little as $500 a month. And do you have a camper that needs repairs? That's right. Our service department is so good, it makes Waffle House at 2 a.m. look unreliable. Come see them at 7 days a week, and make sure you check them out at countylinecampers.com, and go to TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. Give them the follow. Check out Miss Destiny's walkthrough on all of their campers down at County Line Campers.
There you go.
How about that?
How about that?
On fire today.
How about that?
On fire. It's amazing what a little rest will get a human being. You get a little juice and some electrolytes and some caffeine in you. Get you rolling.
I was a little tired today because we ended up watching all of what was left of The Waterfront.
What is that on?
On Netflix.
On Netflix. I haven't started watching. I guess The Quarterback came back on Netflix. I've been watching.
Oh yes, with Burrow this year, right?
Yeah, I haven't. I don't know. I haven't even watched the preview. I just know I saw people talking about it. I got in. It released, I guess, last week or week before last, and then I went back and started watching the same kind of thing with the Tour de France guys. This is very interesting to me. This is behind the scenes of bike racers. So that was interesting to me for whatever reason. So there's my guy Bob in the chat. What it is, Bob?
Hello, Bob.
He says, Bob, I will say this. I have not played golf since I went to go see Bob. We went to the Masters and played at the Champions Retreat. I had not played. And then my son, my 9-year-old, is playing a tournament, so I had to go take him for practice rounds and all that stuff. I am playing the best golf, I think, of my life right now.
How about that? Good for you.
I'm playing the best golf of my life. Like I got new irons, and I have figured them out.
So you're ready for that Auburn coaching staff if you head over there.
Brother, I'm going to play golf. I got news. We'll talk about that later, too. I got a whole take on that. Okay, I got a whole take on that. I will save that one. But I am hitting my irons as good as I have. I had a 206 yards in on a par 5 yesterday, and put a 7-iron to about 3 feet for a nice little big bird yesterday. So, but I'm playing as good as I've played with tee to green. I've played in a long time.
Austin, thank you for the super chat. He says, Tyler, you can say no Diddy again because apparently he's innocent. Apparently everyone is innocent now. Guys,
this goes out. I'm glad we're not on TikTok today because we would be shut down. This goes out. This could be life advice because I didn't have any today. This could be life advice brought to you by Co-Walters, State Farm. Will you tell me about Co-Walters?
Yeah, 1 second. I'm fixing one thing
before we get into football.
In this here stream that I needed to do.
Oh, I got you.
I needed to.
Is our audio bad?
No. I needed to change a setting that had defaulted to a different setting. All good. Everything's fine. But no, I needed to do that. So it's done. Yeah, life advice presented by Cole Walters, State Farm Insurance. Cole is licensed in auto, home, life, health, business, and even pet insurance for both of the following states, Alabama and Georgia. So if you're in Alabama, anywhere in Alabama, from Muscle Shoals to Mobile, if you're anywhere in Georgia, from Statesboro to Athens to Atlanta or beyond, Cole.
Waycross.
Yeah, there too. Cole can help you. All you have to do is call him.
What about Pisgah, Alabama? What about the Pisgah?
I would think you're covered there.
I think so too.
706-525-7850 or online, ColeWaltersInsurance.com.
So this is a little life advice. Anybody who had some kind of aspiration that there was going to be some Epstein list or Diddy was going to go to jail and everybody on Diddy's party list was going to jail with him, apparently have not learned how the world has worked. Anybody with means and resources, the shit never comes out. No Diddy. It never comes out. So, hey, it is what it is. Did anybody really think there was going to be some Epstein list? Did you think they were going to produce a video that showed somebody coming in there and taking care of him in the jail cell? Or were they just like, what happened to that missing minute on the tape? Like, what did you expect? I mean, when people that have billions of dollars have lots of means and resources to make things go away. So I'm with you. It sucks, but those people are never guilty. So what are we doing? There's no reason. I mean, did you expect any other outcome?
All right. Question from Elizabeth Howe in the stream. She says, from the Peanut Gallery, why are reporters still commenting on NIL deals for high school kids when we learned today from reports that NIL deals from collectives are dead? My brain hurts.
I will say, sometimes you like to say, hey, I was right on this one.
Yep.
I believe on this show, I have been talking about this a long time. I'm aware. I think I have. And everybody was like, oh, that'll never happen. It'll never happen. They will sue that into oblivion. The answer to your question is because the people who are reporting on it don't understand it. There is one, I'm being dead serious. The one person that understands it is Ross Dellinger, because he does it for a living every day. I feel bad for Ross. Like, I want to have a drink for Ross. Ross covers it every day. He understands it. But people don't, but they don't understand everything. We'll talk a little bit about it here in a minute, about the memo that was sent out. But at the end of the day, that's the reason, because they don't understand it, and they think it's all snow clouds and bunny rabbits, and they don't understand why people are frustrated. It's silly. All right, Big 12 Media Days just dropped. They decided that 1 week wasn't enough for coaches to have vacation, so they decided to have their media days this week.
Yes, Elizabeth. Basically, she says, so it's basically just rev share, and the answer is yes. It's basically just rev share, because part of what she's getting at, I know you're going to touch on this in a minute, is what came out today, and I don't have it in front of me, so I'm paraphrasing. What came out today was the essentially NIL Go, the College Sports Commission, whatever, said that you can't just do an NIL deal with the collective. Isn't that right? That's essentially what they said. That's not a business.
Yeah. We'll just go to it right now. We'll just skip around. All right,
yeah, let's get to this now. I think this is significant because here's the thing. Let me finish real quick. This is what Elizabeth and myself and a lot of others are kind of confused about, which is, okay, so now I've known this. I just didn't. Let me light a candle. Let's just light a candle. Yeah. Might as well just light a candle.
That way it's lit the whole time.
Yeah.
We'll put it on display over here.
Yeah. It's a candle I
texted you.
This is a candle that's supposed to smell like Wrigley Field.
Is it really?
So it says. I'm not sure that it really does.
Piss and bad brats.
Sometimes when you walk into Wrigley, you ever walked into Wrigley?
I've never been to Wrigley.
Oh, sometimes if you walk into Wrigley at like 10 o'clock in the morning.
Let's move it here so we don't set the computers on fire.
10 o'clock in the morning. It smells like cut grass, and it's beautiful.
That makes me want to crack open a Diet Miller.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, go ahead. Finish what you're saying. You said sometimes what you don't understand.
Yeah, sometimes what I guess people don't understand is what the collectives can do now. Because in the previous model, which I still think will end up being the model, but in this moment, it's not. In the previous model, fans, you, me, Leif, Grind, Elizabeth, Austin, we could all contribute to the collective of our preference, right?
Yep.
You might give to the Grove Collective. You might be me, where you give to the Warhawk Fund. Whatever the case may be, you could give to your collective, and that money theoretically would be given to student athletes at your school.
Yep.
So now what you have is we have rev share that we've talked about. And now people say NIL has to be connected to a legitimate business. And they're saying essentially, if I'm reading it correctly today, and again, I don't have it, I've got it in front of me, but I can't read and talk. I'm not talented enough to do that. Essentially, people are saying, well, then why should I give to the NIL anymore if that money can't go to the players? Mm-hmm. It's a fair question.
It's a very fair question.
And so but what the NIL Go people are saying is nope. If you're going to make NIL money, it's got to be approved through us, through this clearinghouse, and it's got to be attached to a legitimate business interest. And so then the players are saying, well, what if I just do a deal with like the collective where I tweet out, hey, the Warhawk Collective is awesome and you should support the Warhawk Collective, and I get paid for that. And they say, no, that's not legitimate business. That's where we are today.
Yeah.
Is that basically right?
No, that's very accurate.
Okay.
So, all right. So today they finally sent a memo. Here's part of the frustration before we even get started with this is that there was a memo sent out today that was clarifying what they were going to pass and what they were not going to pass. And it's like, well, that should have been kind of communicated before now, but whatever. All right. So the College Sports Commission issued a memo on why it has denied like a shit ton of payments. Okay. I mean, just a ton of payments to players and a ton of stuff through NIL Go. It says it will allow collectives. Here's the most important part of this. It will allow collectives to work on the behalf of the player to get real NIL deals.
Yes.
Okay. So the collective can be the marketing front. So the collective can now say, hey, McDonald's, would you like to come represent, Austin Simmons at Ole Miss or whatever the case may be, right? But they're not going to. The whole point of the drill is the collective was pay for play, as Neal likes to call it. That moved over to rev share. Okay, so that is being paid through the pay for play part of football is now in rev share,
coming out of the athletic
budget. Okay, the collective.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the collective is a third party representative of the university, this is also why many of them just dissolved. Okay.
Or folded into the athletic department.
Or folded into a fundraising arm of the athletic department. So I'm going to answer your last question about the giving to the collective in a second. So anything over $600 paid to an individual from a third party has to be reported. All they're doing is they're eliminating buying teams by boosters or the collectives buying teams. Now, what a collective can do, like you said, can be a fundraising arm. And you're moving peanuts, right? So it's a shell game. So instead of the university having to go find ways to come up with $20.5 million every year, they're going to use that money to go into rev share to pay the players. They're just not going to be able to go pay millions of dollars for a player. Okay. Now here's the interesting part for me doing what I do for a living and seeing it. I have not been surprised by any of this. This is what I've been talking about for a long time on this show. There's about to be some really interesting conversations come August the 1st. Okay. And a lot of these, and I'm not saying everybody, but there are
August 1st. So that
is the official day.
The official day that you can technically offer kids that can sign in December.
That is correct.
Gotcha.
Okay. And you can see what your rev share number is. Okay. There are a lot of, in recruiting right now, which we talked about a little bit with our Texas Tech guy the other day, there is so many offers going out that's including third-party numbers. Okay, we're going to give you this amount in rev share, but we're going to add this much to it, and we're going to put it through NIL Go, and if it goes through, it's yours. Okay, that's cool. It's just not going to happen. That's a cool promise. It's kind of like as a receivers coach, it's kind of like when I went out to go see the quarterback that was a really, really good athlete but couldn't play quarterback. I said, yeah, you come here. We're going to let you play quarterback.
Or we'll give you a shot at quarterback.
We'll give you a shot at it. Yeah, we will. We'll give you a shot at it. We're going to run it through NIL Go. But guess what? Your ass is going to be playing receiver in a week. I mean, it's the same thing. It's the new age promise in recruiting. It's what it is. It's the new age. Hey, no, we're not going to play you. We're not going to play you on the offensive line. We're going to play you on the D line, Big Daddy.
Let's not even confuse people with the analogies, because your analogy is funny and I get it. But
yeah,
what's happening is, to be clear, they're telling a kid, Joe Smith, gonna go to Alaska State. I've learned it not, if you actually include a real school, people think it's real.
They send you emails.
They do. By the way, Jalen Williams has agreed to a 5-year max rookie extension with the Oklahoma City Thunder that could reach $287 million per Shams Charania.
Also, the NBA collective does not have any NBA salary cap, and the way they do it does not have these problems. But go ahead. I just thought I'd throw that in there.
And no, the Thunder won't have to tear everything down because they planned for this.
Oh, I'm just saying.
All right. So, Joe Smith, he's going to go to Alaska State.
Okay.
He's agreed to a deal with Alaska State where they can technically promise him whatever rev share they want to promise him.
That is correct.
So let's say they've told him, hey, we're going to give you $10,000 in rev share. They're playing the game by enticing him by saying, oh, and we're going to get you $100,000 in NIL, theoretically. The problem with that is that with the current system, with NIL Go, you have to get the $100,000 of NIL has to be with the legitimate business entity, and it has to go through the clearinghouse.
That is
so
correct.
If you try to maneuver it where it's, hey, it's with Joe's Lawn Service in Fairbanks, and all you really got to do is put out a tweet. They're gonna go no.
If that person that's paying the money is associated with a university, okay, or it's the collective, okay, a booster. If it's a definition, the definition of a booster, if they have that relationship with the university, or it's the actual collective, yes, they will throw it out, not approve it.
I mean, you do realize. I know you realize. I know you realize. I'm not sure that the public, until maybe even today, fully grasped how difficult this is going to be to raise actual NIL dollars. And this is what's coming, I think. This is where the revolt is coming. Nobody likes a pay cut.
Nope.
And so guys are basically getting pay cuts because a lot of guys are not going to get the money that they're being promised.
We'll talk about that when you get done with this.
So, and they're not going to get the money. If this holds, they're not going to get the money that their predecessors got over the last year or two of the Wild Wild West system, which for the record, I still think is coming back. But I digress. That is not going to go over well. You're going to have guys doing this whole, I threaten not to play, I threaten not to practice.
Mm-hmm. All right, so here you go. We talked about this a couple months ago, or about a month ago maybe, and we were in one of your previous match burning episodes. You remember us talking about front loading?
Yeah.
Okay. A lot of teams were very smart. Okay.
Yeah.
And they front loaded. So before the settlement hit on July 1st, they paid out of their collective. They bankrupted their collective. They took every dollar that they could raise, and they went ahead and paid for their entire. So let's take football, for example. They went ahead and paid for their entire 2025 team ahead of time. It's gone. All the money. The entire 2025 team was paid for, zero balance due before July 1st hit. All right. Now, they have now all of a sudden the median, some have more, some have less. The median is $13.5 million. You with me?
Yep.
They're not going to have to touch any of that this fall because they've already front loaded and paid for that 2025 team. So they can use that 13.5 number of rev share on their new recruits and retaining the players that are on their roster. So when you have a team, even though you front loaded them, okay, if you have a team that has a lot of young players that are going to come back next year, they're going to dig into that rev share number. But basically what it does, if by front loading, is they're going to get $13.5 million to spend next spring before the next fiscal year kicks over. And then they're going to get another $13.5 in the fall. You put those together, and now your 2026 team is a $27 million team. Does that make sense?
But eventually that runs out.
The problem comes in is the next team, that 2027 team, 2027 team is going to have to take a major pay cut.
Right.
So when this strategy was floated around, I asked a guy, an SEC guy, okay? I asked an SEC GM. I was like, okay, I said, that's great. I said, what are you going to do in 2027? He goes, well, two things. He says, one, either we won't be here coaching them, and it'll be somebody else's problem by then.
Yeah.
Or B, they'll have another system figured out by then. And if you look at the history of since this has been going on, we've been changing modes about every 6 to 8 months. So sometime in the next 2 years, they'll change it back to something else. They're literally gambling on either being fired or having change in the system by the time 2027 comes
I talked to a coach the other day who said you come to work every day and you don't really know what the rules are, and you don't really know when the rules are going to change, and if they change, what they'll change to, and then how long those rules will last.
So that's
because everyone knows there are court cases already in the system. and that it just takes one judge to issue an injunction.
That is correct.
At which point, none of this is technically in effect until that injunction is thrown out, at which point it's back into effect. No. Meanwhile, and I know you're going to get to this, I'm jumping around. I'm messing up your plan.
All good.
For people that don't get behind the scenes, this is the funny part of our relationship is that Tyler's a football coach. And
I script.
He scripts. I'm not a football coach and don't script. And sometimes his way's best and sometimes my way's best. And usually we're on the same page. But today's one of those days that I can tell mentally I'm kind of in a different spot.
Whatever. I do adjust, though. I did work with freeze. So we went from, we used to have like a 24-period practice that went to period 10 on period 2. So
because he just decided he was ready to
He was ready to go 7-on-7 after period 2. We left. We went to, that was hard to get used to, but I'm good at it now. We called that getting frozen out.
I don't like the words, it's not sustainable. What I was going to say was the Big 12 coaches this week are having their media day in Arlington at Jerry World, or not Jerry World, at the Cowboys facility. And they're all saying, hey, I think your buddy Rich Rod, our buddy Rich Rod, said, why don't anybody making $500,000 has to be an employee, and we're going to get to a place where maybe they won't even go to school. Maybe they'll just be employees. I am fascinated. It's like if I think I'm going to do a hand raise, guys, tonight. And one of the questions, anybody that calls in, I'm going to say, does that impact your feeling about the product?
All right.
Because that's officially, Tyler, that's the first time, okay? And people, when they hear me say this, I think some people are so inclined to think that I'm on a, quote, rant or that I'm trying to make fun of something or criticize, and I'm not. I literally mean this. This is not rhetorical at all. I'm genuinely curious about this because this will be the first time if we go to that. Number one, we're nowhere close to that, but let's say that that's the path we're on and that we're on this train and that's where the tracks are taking us. Okay, to a spot where at least in football and probably in basketball, the players aren't students anymore. They're just contracted employees or maybe full-time employees with benefits and the whole deal. I do wonder when that becomes the norm, if that becomes the norm, whether
it's the breaking point.
Is that a point where a fan goes, well, this isn't really what I cheered for. What I liked about it was because, let's be real. Look at it. I'm going to make fun of me too. We all in the recruiting industry would write stories, and I bet you guys as coaches looked for these stories because you could send them to other people. Like you like those kind of quotes where the kid goes, man, what I really liked about Alaska State was it just felt like home. The coaches there treat everybody like family. All those things. Come on.
Well, you look to see if they're made up or not.
Tradition. I love the tradition there.
There's a lot of in the market the articles that were written on recruits in my market were usually made up interviews. They didn't really happen.
Sorry. Cubs lead the Braves 8-1, bottom of the Twins. They're deep in that ball game there in Minneapolis. Cubs now out away from salvaging Game 3 of this series against the Twins. Twins won on Tuesday and Wednesday nights. What else you got? You gonna keep going?
I couldn't help myself. That's literally when you started talking about that. I had a flashback. That's how my CTE works. It just comes back.
No, but Brent says the fans will continue to cheer while they win. I think it's probably true.
All right, so
I think that's probably true. I do wonder though, is that like I've said this all along, and I mean this sincerely. There is a world, and I think this is probably likely. There's a world where in college football there is no breaking point for the fans. It's just so much a part of the culture and so much something that they love and all that stuff. But the model was built on, hey, I go to cheer for guys or girls who play at my school. They go to the same school that I go to or that I went to or that my kids go to or whatever, right? They're a part of this place. They walk from Smith Hall to Thomas Hall the same way that I did. And when you take that away and just make them employees, now they're just professional athletes.
Here's the answer to your question about that.
I'm really interested.
I really think this is the answer to that question that you've asked this a lot. I don't think the established fan, okay, so let's take Grind, and Grind's a big Auburn fan. I don't think no matter what happens, Grind's always going to be an Auburn fan. What's going to kill the sport, and it's going to take time, is at some point in time, Grind became an Auburn fan. I think this model of being employed, I think that's going to prevent younger people from having those feelings about their team. So eventually, over time, when they get older, I think that's where their interest is lost. But it may be years before you see the effects of it. If you're already a fan of somebody, I don't think they're ever going to stop. But it will keep people from like kids that were, they go to ball games with their parents and they're used to watching, whatever, Eli Manning was a big signee to, he became the star quarterback, and I got to watch him all throughout his career. I mean, I was the same way at Auburn. I went to Bo Jackson's first game against Wake Forest. I was sitting in the south end zone at Jordan-Hare Stadium when Bo Jackson took his first carry against Wake Forest, and you saw that, and that's what is going to die from this, and it's going to take years, I think, before that becomes a problem, because I don't think people who are established fans it'll affect. Real quick before I get to this Big 12 Media Day, I do want to say this about the legal action, okay? You can take all the legal action that you want to take, and Castellanos at Florida State has started a quarterback transfer from Boston College to Florida State. They're just going to wait you out, though.
What do you mean?
He can go file his lawsuit. They will wait his ass out. They don't want to go back to court with this thing they just spent 2 years on. They will legally wait you out and let you, because you're not in a class action. You're not with people. You're doing it individually. You're going to burn up legal fees.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
They're just going to wait you out, and then he's going to be gone by the time anything gets set up. He will never see the benefit of it.
Right.
And so that's what's going to happen with legal action. And then I said this on Twitter today, and I mean this, and this is what you were just talking about. And I said, this is a PSA to all recruits. The only number that matters at all is your rev share number. That's it.
Because it's the only one that's guaranteed.
Unless you're a quarterback is the only thing they're going to be able to market and get you more money. If you play tackle or guard or backer or secondary, ask me how I know. I'm close to someone that does this that's for a high living, and they only like take on skill players as clients.
Well, I'll give you an example. So Chase and I were having this. I don't think Chase will mind. We were having this conversation the other day about. Oh hell, I'll get into it. I think it's interesting. No one's talked to us. Well, we have had some conversations with businesses about doing a player focused show.
Oh,
we've done those in the past. And so what I said to Chase the other day was, okay, has the personality to do a show, is marketable, and is high profile enough for it to resonate. How many players on the Ole Miss roster meet that criteria? And the answer is, it's a really small number.
It's not as many as you think.
Like, are there kids who would be a fun show? Yeah. But if they don't play a skill position, you might be able to pull it off with an offensive lineman. Maybe, if a real funny one, a good one. I've done a show with Mason Brooks, and had he been a starter,
like Tyler Booker at Alabama could pull it off.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, there are a few, but not many.
So here's my next point, right? So let's say that you found a player that you thought, yeah, this will work, and the player's actually willing to do it. Now, how do you put a valuation on it? Well, the valuation, and I'm not going to give the number that we came up with, but we came up with a realistic number. I don't know that you could get a high-profile player to do it for that number.
Right. Because they're used to getting
that for free.
Right. They're like, oh, you got to work for it now? And I talked to Chase about that when I pinch hit for you last week or 2 weeks ago, whenever it was. I was like, it would blow the modern person's mind how little like work that you're asking them to do.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, no,
Well, and
you couldn't imagine. Could you ever imagine me saying, "Hey, Neal, look, I'm going to give you $200,000. I need you to show up at Oxford High School, okay, on a Saturday morning, and we're going to do a photo shoot for 3 hours." Could you ever imagine you telling me, "I don't know, man"? or me having to drag you there. I mean, dude, you would literally get in the tent and be waiting on me. You know what I mean? Like, the normal public doesn't understand how little these guys want to do for this. Like, they don't want to work.
Right.
They just want it.
They just want to get paid because that's what they really want is pay for play. And I don't blame them. I mean, like,
yeah, I'm not blaming them.
No, because like the show thing, right? Here's the part about a show. So someone said Caden Lee. So let's take Caden, for example. I love Caden. He's a great kid. Great kid.
I've never met him.
Just an exceptional person. So look at Caden a year ago. He suffered a foot injury, I think. It was an ankle injury. It was something that he had to spend after games, because after some games he could barely walk. So he had to, on Sunday, he had to spend most of the day in a training room. He had meetings. They had film. I think Ole Miss takes Sunday off and practices Monday, but Sunday,
I don't know.
it's not
every coach is different.
It's not a real off day. No, and it's not a knock on Ole Miss. Once the season rolls around, there's never an off day.
That is not true, Neal. You only get 20 hours a week.
Shut up. There's never an off day. So my point is like you. So let's say
Kara logs.
let's take Caden as an example. So we're like, okay, well let's try to make a schedule, right? Let's try to do this every Sunday or every Monday at 4:00.
Yeah.
Whatever. But you got to do something because I got to do the show.
Right.
I've got to be able to tape the show. I need to be able to talk to him for a few minutes before the show. Like, hey, like I did with all those guys that I did shows with, where I was like, with Mason, I was like, hey, I'm going to ask you about Halloween candy. It's October. Trick-or-treating's coming up. I'm going to ask you about trick-or-treating when you were a kid, right? So that you have some time to think about that or go, no, I don't want to talk about that. And then what happens if Ole Miss loses? What if they don't win? What if he gets hurt? What if he gets concussed? There's so many things that come up where then the business that's associated with it goes, well, I'm not getting the product that I paid for. Or it gets flagged, presumably, by NIL because, well, the contract that you have is for 12 shows, and here you are, it's end of November, and you've done 4 shows. Now, does he have to return some of the money? It's complicated. I mean, all of it is, and to the point where doing real NIL is going to be a problem.
No, it's been a problem the whole time. It just wasn't tracked. I mean, nobody gets real. Do you know how many few people actually get real NIL? Not many. It's been a problem the whole time.
Well, and those that did do real NIL, it was often
like Arch Manning. Arch Manning will get $0.00 from rev share.
Right. What I was going to say was like I know for a fact there were players here that did some NIL deals that was more like a trade, like a suit.
Yeah, there's a lot of that goes on.
Stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And that has value.
It has value.
Yeah.
You have to pay taxes on it.
Yeah, but the point was it wasn't
of monetary value.
I'm using Ole Miss as an example, and I really shouldn't because that's not fair to Ole Miss because everybody else did this too. But for the most part, where you got the money for NIL was from fans contributing money for NIL, and then you just called it NIL, but
it was pay for play.
But it was actually just pay for play.
Yep. I want to say this before we move on. You were talking about the Big 12 media days. The one thing I got out of interest of the whole thing was what you were just hitting on a second ago is that it seemed to be they all got together. The one thing I always like about the Big 12 media days, and it's like this last year, I can't remember what it was last year. They seemed to like have like a dinner or something the night before and say, hey, look, we're all going to talk about this. You know what I mean? Like everybody came out talking about the employees and things like that and collective bargaining. And look, trying to bring this full circle. I have said this from the beginning. I think collective bargaining is the only way to fix the problem in college athletics. The pushback that I get, and I think even that you give me, is how do you do it? It's hard. Like I heard this. I literally saw a media person say this. How do you do it? That's going to be hard. I came really close to quote tweeting and saying, well, no shit. Okay, because complicated problems have complicated solutions.
This is really complicated, though.
But it's really not.
It is.
It's really not, though.
Okay, how do you do it?
It's going to take a lot of hard work, but it's not complicated. All right? They have to break off. You cannot.
Who has to break off?
The people who make money. The college football programs that actually produce a profit, not the whole thing, the 70 or so teams that produce a profit, and the basketball teams. What you cannot do, and I would be 100% against, is what people think is collective bargaining inside the NCAA, because the women's polo person can't sit at the same table as the starting quarterback, and they're after two different things.
Yeah.
It has to be broken off to be a separate entity. If you're inside the NCAA and you do collective bargaining and you make them employees, all of those other sports are going bye-bye. You let the NCAA run the amateur sports, basically, the ones that don't make money.
The Olympic sports.
The Olympic sports, and even the basketball and football teams that don't make money, group of 5, whatever, it's fine. They run it under the NCAA model, what it was designed for. But we've jumped the shark on that, and now you got a billion-dollar business that you're paying players. You can't run that inside the NCAA model. And then you want to break them off and make them employees? Sure, do that. And then you're like, oh, well, the money. Let me explain something to you. You've mentioned this before. We talked about that. Why is the SEC, why do people want them to go to 9 games? What's
money?
The only money?
Yeah.
Okay, now imagine an SEC schedule where you got your whatever your conference games are. Oh, and by the way, your out of conference games are Ohio State, Michigan, and Arizona State, and all of your games are games. Mm-hmm. The amount of money by itself that would generate a full schedule of that is going to be enough not only to pay for the football, but to pay for everything else. Oh, that's why, in my opinion, that's why you see Kentucky doing it. I think you see in the Big 12 talk about it. They're going to these privatized athletic departments, going to LLCs, so they can be the owner of a football team or anything that breaks off that makes money. But in no shape, form, or fashion should a sport that does not produce a profit ever be involved in collective bargaining. You don't make money. You shouldn't be involved in it.
So how do you dance around Title IX?
There is no Title IX if it's broken off because it's not funded federally. It's funded independently. Title IX only exists.
You're saying they break off and privatize and become a private
correct.
business.
You break off completely, and just like some of these athletic departments are doing. And it's a private business. Title IX doesn't affect that because there's no federal funding involved in that. Where does federal funding, where does that come in place? It comes in place in a group of 5 schools, even today. So they have to stay inside the NCAA. The teams that can afford to do it on their own need to break off. I think that's about 70 football teams, and I think it's most of what you would know as the Power 5 conferences in basketball, plus the Big East, however you classify them.
Right.
It's not but here's why won't they do it? That's the next thing. Why won't they do it?
Okay.
The hard part is because it's going to take people that are having control are going to have to give up control and probably lose their job or lose their effectiveness if they break off. That's going to be the problem. The NCAA is going to fight, and because who votes? The presidents, the ADs.
Right.
They're going to fight to keep their cash cow. It's a cash cow for them. I understand it. If I worked for the NCAA, I'd be doing the same thing too. But they don't want to give that up and let them break off. But what you're seeing, pay attention, Big 12 Media Days, it's about the only thing to pay attention to. People in charge, you saw what Danny White had to say the other day about it? People in charge are starting to go, yeah, F this, we're breaking off. They're starting to come up with ways to break off and do things because they realize that this is not sustainable. And it's not.
Which part's not sustainable?
All of it. The rev share, all this stuff. Yeah. Look, people are going to find like this. The funny part is about this NIL Go thing. People are going to cheat the system. They're going to find a way. Now they'll get caught and they'll get punished and all that, but they're going to find a way to cheat the system eventually. That's what you do.
Well, they're already doing it.
Bit.
People are kind of openly laughing at it,
but they're getting busted right now because But it depends on how much they can't see everything.
And like the NIL Go thing is already, because it's a bureaucracy. It's already backlogged. We haven't even started yet, and it's backlogged. We haven't even gotten to the August 1st stuff yet. You haven't gotten to the first transfer portal cycle of this, where I think it was Ross. I hate not giving credit to the right person.
Always give credit to Ross because he probably wrote about it.
It may have been Pete Nakos. It may have been Brandon Marcello. I don't remember who wrote this.
Good chance Ross did.
So my apologies if I get this wrong. It's not. I'm attempting to attribute, and I don't have it in front of me. There was a Power 4 quarterback that had agreed to a appearance basically at some sort of a function. I don't know.
Okay, yeah.
And there was a deliverable that had been agreed to, but it had to get cleared through the. Excuse my hat hitting the thing. It had to get cleared through NIL Go or whatever. And by the time it got cleared, the event had already come and gone because the event had a time and date. You know, it was one of those things that, hey, this event's on, June 15th or whatever. And so that's already happening. And so,
that's, in my opinion, just so you know,
yeah,
I think that's done on purpose, by the way.
But why?
Because they have all the control, Neal. Neal, can I tell you something? I have experience with this. Okay,
I know.
I have personal experience with this. Neal, let me ask you a question. Why do you think? I'll tell. So I don't give a shit. I'll tell it now. Enough time's gone by.
Yeah, you're not
Neal,
getting in trouble.
Do you know why I do have a business that has to be approved? Let me explain something to you. Do you know I filled out my my paperwork with the NCAA to come back to Ole Miss in November of 2017? Do you know the day that they approved the NCAA did my paper? Usually it's like a 3-day process. Okay, because I had to go through the process with other employees.
Yep.
Do you know that? You know how long it took them to approve mine?
I don't.
They approved it the day after signing day. In February.
That was intentional.
My point.
Yeah.
Now, what am I going to do?
Well, nothing you can do.
There's nothing you can do.
Right.
But my point is that some people get cleared right away and they go, and can I be just completely honest with you?
Why not?
Why not?
Yeah.
I think that was retribution because I didn't get interviewed by the NCAA in the Ole Miss case. I didn't talk to anybody.
No.
I think that was like, okay, motherfucker. All right, my turn now. I honestly feel that way.
Yeah.
And why do I feel that way? Because it was the same person. All right. They're like, all right, you didn't want to talk? All right, big boy. Well, you won't have any impact on this class. Can you keep
say
your
the name of that NCAA person?
No.
Still there.
I'm not
involved with the Ole Miss case.
I'm not going there. But I'm just saying, like, all right, dude.
Man, they wanted y'all bad back then.
Brother.
People just don't know.
Brother.
People just don't know.
Brother.
So that was so like personal.
There was a graphic that came up. This was right after it happened. Again, this is fights you don't fight, Yeah. There was a graphic that came up. It said like somebody did a graphic, right? It said how many people were interviewed by the NCAA. It was like 795 people or 750 or whatever. I came really close to like quote tweet, and I said, I bet I know who won what. I know, and it's like, I don't know. But that was the whole deal is like, Brennan knows the whole story of why I didn't and how I didn't and all that stuff. I had some help with that, but yeah, I didn't, I'm convinced to this day, the reason it took 3 months, it was and they weren't even slick about it. It was like 8 a.m. on Thursday after signing day. Hey, you're clear. Petty.
Wow.
But I kind of, in a weird way, I kind of respect the pettiness. It was good. I just played golf every day. It was just fine with me.
Catch up on some super chats that we missed earlier.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good. Shaker Jack, thank you. He says, more money, less problems. A lot of truth to that. Clutch Cam says, if Diddy gets hired, Red at Auburn and goes 6-6, we would find out the truth. Yeah, maybe. Eric, thank you for the super chat. It says, huge G Pitts fan. Why don't you and JG tape anymore? Just the show. The show ran its course. It really did. It ran its course. I wouldn't have time to do that show now. Plainsman, thank you for the super chat. Says, need more parents like Lenoris Sellers. I think that's what he's referencing. And then let's see a couple more here as well. Will Murphy says, what's Tyler's thoughts on Sonoma this weekend? I'm figuring SVG will have another good weekend. And then along those lines, While we're asking NASCAR questions, Austin Blansett asked, Tyler, if you had to place a futures bet on who makes the Final Four at the end of the year, what would you pick?
The first one, I play fantasy. I do very well, by the way. This is like probably the best betting thing I do is fantasy NASCAR. I think I've cashed every single weekend of the year so far. I think I had one, maybe Daytona or Talladega. We all crashed out. But besides that, I look up the 5, 10, 15 lap times. They practice beforehand. They already released the salaries. And so with road courses, I always do, from a fantasy perspective, it's like you treat road courses like a super speedway where you pick lower ones. But SVG just depends on how he practices there. If somebody is close to him and then track position, all those things, he's going to be in there. Can he repeat? Sure. But there's so many good road course drivers now in NASCAR because they've put so many more races in it. So it's a little bit different than it used to be. So we'll see what the practice times are when they get to Sonoma. I don't do any kind of NASCAR anything until I see practice times. And then who do I think is going to be at the Final Four? I say William Byron, Kyle Larson, the best, whoever the hottest Penske driver is. Mm-hmm. Going in because of the way the track setup is, whether it's Ryan Blaney or Joey Logano. And then I think we're going to have a surprise one, like a Tyler Reddick. Somebody's going to win their way in, stay alive and win their way into the Final Four. That's going to be, so I think it's going to be Byron, Larson, one of the Penske guys, and whoever wins their way in.
Plain's been clarified a little bit. He says more or less how the Norris Sellers had him handle the NIL discussions this past offseason.
Yeah, I mean,
apologize for messing that.
No, I because he's like stayed and all this stuff. Again, it's about promises and all those things. But kind of along those lines, I am personally just ready, like beyond ready for football season. Like next week we get media days and all that stuff. And so it's kind of like the official kickoff of season. I'm ready to talk like real football. I am so tired, Neal. I'm exhausted. I feel like I need to start burning matches. Of like the shit that doesn't matter. Can I burn some? Like I'm so tired of like it. You know, you're getting close to football season because you're getting here and people are just bitching about shit that doesn't matter. Like to bitch. Like now I should have put this on here. We got guys sending to Neal emails about he talks about the NBA too much. Like, do you know Neal McCready? Like, have you ever watched him? He's an NBA guy. Occasionally, he's going to talk about it.
Just turn on the Summer League.
Turn on the Summer League. He likes it.
I do.
So, shit. Burn the whole damn house down. Get over yourself.
That should be a GIF.
That should be. Somebody will probably make it one. That's fucking wild. These are shit-ass matches, too.
Hey, whoa. Come on now.
Freaking $2.99 for
box is full of those, man. Come on. You got to be. You got to have a little touch. There you go. You got to treat her. Got to treat her a little nicer.
So
you can't just run in there and go.
That's how.
Come on.
You either go hard or you don't go, baby. No diddy. I don't know. We're gonna do it like the old school way. Just throw it in the old can, let it smoke for a while. But like, so yesterday I did. Got
to be gentle.
There's like I saw it. Like I was on vacation. I was coming back. I was at the golf tournament. I was scrolling. I start laughing. I see like everybody, all the Auburn fans having a fucking thermonuclear meltdown about Auburn's recruiting. Having a thermonuclear meltdown. Now we're talking about, we got guys pulling up his GIN scores on his handicap. I start laughing. I'm like, do y'all think Hugh Freeze just decided in 2025 to start playing golf? Like that's the reason? That's the reason. No, it doesn't matter. The recruiting doesn't matter. Why are you bitching about recruiting? Because you haven't won as many games as you want to win. I mean, have you seen any Ole Miss fans bitching about freaking Lane Kiffin being on a damn boat catching fish and shit? No, you haven't, because they're winning football games.
Hey, speaking of Hugh Freeze, our buddy AJ McCarron.
I meant to call him.
You go way back.
I do. I talked to him yesterday. We didn't talk about this.
AJ McCarron.
I saw this. Somebody sent it to me.
Quote. Hugh Freeze is full of shit. I think Hugh Freeze is trying to do whatever he can to save face. He's starting to feel pressure at Auburn, going into his third year, not having the success that the alumni, the boosters, everybody donating a lot of money thought he would have by this point. I think he's trying to figure out and scramble on why they are not successful. The state of Alabama is ran by Alabama fans, Alabama alumni, whether you like it or not, end quote.
I got two things on that. One, do you know what show that was on? He said that
it was on the Dynasty Bama.
Oh, okay. Okay. I was just checking.
That's AJ McCarron, Trent Richardson, and Chris Stewart for Alabama Crimson Tide Talk like you've never heard before. New episodes weekly.
I was trying to check his audience there. I didn't know what audience he was talking to.
I go way back with Chris, and now I know AJ pretty well. I don't know Trent.
Yeah, AJ is not scared to stir shit up.
I was called an Aubie just the other day on
really?
On what is now rebelgrove.com, which is not the previous rebelgrove.com.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, well, I guess it's rebelgrove.com.
I guess technically it is now, right?
Technically is. I would argue it's not the rebelgrove.com, but regardless.
Yeah. Let's don't go there.
Let's not go there. But it's rebelgrove.com, and I was called an Aubie, and I was like,
Laura, see what had happened was.
It's been a minute since I was called an Aubie.
We got a little delirious. Yeah, AJ's not afraid to tell you what he thinks, but he was also AJ can be entertaining when he wants to. AJ's good at this shit, so he can turn it on when he wants to. Look, this recruiting thing.
Well, now wait, no. Neal, stop. Neal.
All right, so this recruiting thing at Auburn, right? I'm so sick and tired. Like, who gives a shit? Like, hey, Neal.
AJ does.
AJ cares. Look, they're either going to win games or they're not. I think the August 1st thing, when you start putting real deals out there, I think they'll get some guys, but that's neither here nor there. They're either winning football games or they're not. Now, I am of the opinion that I think they're going to be really good this year in football.
Okay.
I think that's my opinion. I've done my whole SEC deal. So I'm very confident.
So I think on Thursday of next week, Auburn's going to end up being picked by the media. And not everybody does media jokes. I get it. Haha. Auburn's going to get picked somewhere between 9th and 11th in the SEC.
Yeah.
You think they're better than that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I do.
All right.
But I think they're going to be really good. I really do. So they're either going to win games or they're not. Okay. But this whole thing about, like, he's playing too much golf. Like, Neal, if people knew, fans knew, there are SEC coaches that are doing great in recruiting, that are winning football games, doing great in recruiting, that took a whole month off to go play golf. Like, you don't know what your fucking coach is doing. All coaches play golf in the off season. I mean, I was also worked with a guy at Ole Miss, and we had the number 2 recruiting class in the country. Is that correct? 2013. Pretty good class.
It was a pretty strong class.
Or 2012, whatever year that was.
It was 13.
All right.
Wasn't it? They were 12. I don't know. Whatever.
This dude would come to my office at 8 o'clock in the morning, and I'd be in there watching film. I'd be like, what you doing? I'm like, watching film. Let's go play golf. Okay. Didn't affect recruiting. What do you think they're doing? Do you think the phone doesn't work on the golf course?
Well, and here's the thing in this, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, but in this market, it really is going to come down to what are you gonna,
either are paying them the money or not.
What are you going to pay me?
If all money is equal, then relationships matter, and they will do good in that area. Okay? Did we think Hugh Freeze in 2025 just decided not to recruit? Like, this is the year he said, you know what? The hell with this recruiting thing. I know I've been good at it for my whole life, but this year is the year we're not going to recruit. It's just, I don't know, man. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit. It doesn't matter anymore. And the second thing, Ole Miss fans.
Grind says, we just had a linebacker get arrested with 2.5 pounds of marijuana, so we're so back.
Yeah, you're back.
He says the vibes I need.
Right on 280. I saw that the other day. Somebody said, I was on a TikTok live, and somebody asked me, hey, what about this guy getting arrested? I said, I didn't hear anything about it. So I Googled it. I was like, it said like 2.5 pounds. I said, probably a fun guy to hang around with. Probably in a good mood. You're back. You can probably play. There's probably a high correlation if he's a good player or not. If he had been in a Charger going 90 when it got pulled over, he's All-American status.
All right, Grind says, Auburn or Oklahoma, both of us can't win this season. Siskey, pick one.
Grind, I'm very high on both of those teams. I think Oklahoma can be as good as anybody in the country. Their schedule sucks. Okay, how can they navigate that schedule? You got Auburn going to Oklahoma. You got Oklahoma going to Alabama. I mean, Oklahoma's playing Texas. If I had to pick, I think Oklahoma, I would give preseason, give the edge to Oklahoma over Auburn at home. But I think it's a coin flip game. I think Auburn's going to be really good. I really do. I think both of those teams will be. I think both of those teams have improved their roster in the SEC as much or better than any other team in the league from where they were. I think they're both going to be high quality teams and as talented as anybody. And you got John Mateer, who I think is the real deal. The Ole Miss deal last week. I was on. I took a peek at deep inside the Rebels.
Hey, real quick, the Oklahoma schedule. So people,
it's a bear.
Illinois State at home,
yep.
Michigan at home, at Temple, Auburn at home, Kent State at home, Oklahoma and Texas play each other in Dallas, at South Carolina, Ole Miss at home, at Tennessee, at Alabama, Missouri at home, LSU at home. That's a booger bear.
Yeah, it's a tough schedule. I think they will be as good. Like if you give them Missouri's schedule, I think they are a 10-win team, right? I think Florida's in this category. I think Oklahoma's in this category. And with Auburn, it's going to be how Auburn starts the first 6. I think Auburn can go on a run the last half of the year, and it's going to depend on how they start the first 6 games. But this Ole Miss thing, okay? Everybody's having on deep inside the Rebels or having a freaking meltdown about what's his name, Kelvin Bolden leaving, and then some other guy leaving. I'm like, what are we going to do?
Alex Brown left.
Alex Brown. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? Like, have y'all looked? Have you even noticed this, by the way? Have you looked at like the top 20 players in Mississippi, where they're going? Have you done this?
Yeah, I mean, I've done this. Chase and I went through the top.
Ole Miss has like the number 6 player committed.
Yeah.
The number 20 player committed.
Yeah.
And then like Mississippi State has like number 17 or whatever. Like everybody else is going somewhere else. Some dude's going to Sacramento State.
Yeah.
like, bruh. Hey, let me tell you what happened there.
You got paid.
Hey, that rev share number.
That's what I'm saying.
No, it wasn't that he got, it's what he didn't get somewhere else. It wasn't that he got paid. It's what he didn't get somewhere else. That rev share money hits different.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what I mean was he was going to get paid because like Ole Miss, LSU, Tennessee, those kind of teams, he's a kid that's not going to play as a freshman at an SEC level. So they're not going to offer him rev share.
You write this down? I bet that changes for December. You want to write that down?
Yeah, no, I wrote that in my 10-week.
I bet that one changes before December.
Which at the time was
he will not be going to California in January. Where the hell he's supposed to go?
So I'll be able shut up.
And it's not where he's going to go. I'm just saying once they figure out, hey, what's that rev share? Hey, August 1st coming quick, while August 1st coming quick. Yeah. All right, but like my point is this: they're worried about some guy about in-state recruiting. Guys, in-state recruiting is gone. Shit doesn't matter.
Tyler.
It's changed.
Tyler, don't you start.
I'm sorry to be honest with you guys. I hate to be honest. Look, here's the real truth about where recruiting is right now compared is you have to evaluate. The only way you're going to survive the rev share era is you're going to evaluate yourself out of it. You cannot have 55 5-star kids on your team. You can't just, you don't have a full draft of first-round draft picks.
Salad Thunder says the recruiting director is irrelevant, Siskey.
Absolutely. No, it's not actually. It's not, because there's more jobs to it. You got to evaluate and you got to manage the money. It's actually probably more relevant than it's ever been, because you actually have to you can't go say that. Like, example, if I'm in Alabama, okay, like literally I could go pick the top 75 or 100 players in the country and just go knock on their door. I'm going to get 25 of them. There's not a whole lot of work. Like recruiting in Alabama was as easy as like shooting fish in a barrel. But but now in the rev share era, you're going to have to evaluate and find value. Jim Nagy talked about it the other day at Oklahoma. You're going to have to find value in players that you like for whatever reason that you can get cheaper, because you can't pay everybody $1 million. As my guy from Ruston, Louisiana, Neal McCready said, it's a math problem. You can't pay everybody $1 million. You're going to run out pretty quick. So you're going to have to find ways to be creative when it comes to the money. I don't give a shit on how many bids a conference has to get in the playoffs. Okay, who gives a shit? You're either going to get there or not. You're going to get 4, you're going to get 3, you're going to get 4 or 5. Who gives a shit? SEC is going to have plenty of teams. Big Ten's going to have plenty of teams. Whatever. I'm tired of talking about that. And then finally, and I love Ross Dellinger's maybe one of my favorite reporters of all time, besides Neal McCready. He's number 2 behind Neal. I'm tired of hearing about fucking bills addressed going through Congress. I'm tired. When was the last time a bill that affected college athletics got passed through Congress?
I don't remember.
Okay.
Title IX.
Wake me up when it happens, and then I'll go read the damn thing. I can't read through all of that legislation shit just for it to go away in 2 days. I got CTE and OCD and ADD. I can't do that shit. If it goes through, let your boy know. I'll go back and read it.
Listeners, are you looking for a way to get out of corporate America? Looking for your next business venture? If you're interested in learning about buying a business or a franchise, Andy Ludicky can help. He's a diehard college football fan, franchise veteran. He will work with you to help you find a franchise or a business that fits your DNA. Andy is an awesome guy. I've met him several times. Really good dude. Loves to help others. So just call and learn about his process. Learn about his services. They're 100% free. It's a no-brainer for those of you wanting to get into business ownership. And he'll also set you up. He'll do a NIL deal with your favorite baseball team.
Got to get it checked through NIL Go now, Andy.
Assuming that NIL Go.
Assuming the NIL Go.
So call him. He's a great guy. Tons of business experience to lean on through the process. Andy at myperfectfranchise.net. 404-973-9901. We're also brought to you by our good friends at Parish Brewing Company, located in the heart of Cajun country in Broussard, Louisiana. They have a simple goal, and that is to make awesome craft brewed beer. They do it remarkably well. There's Cooper Flagg right there about to play his first summer league game.
I bet he's nervous.
I bet he's not.
I bet he's going, damn it, I'm not going to be able to read about that 2032 basketball recruit today. I bet that's what he's thinking right now.
Flagg's good, man. Anyway, wherever you look for beer.
Does he play the NBA?
Flag, yes, he does.
Hey, send that email to Neal McCready.
gmail.com.
Yeah, gmail.com.
So wherever you look for beer, look for Parish Brewing Company products. You'll love it. They got Ghost in the Machine, Dr. Juice, Pescador, Envy, whatever you're looking for, man. They do it, and they do it really, really well. They're great people. You'll love their products, so check them out. Again, Parish Brewing Company.
Neal, we're also brought to you by Kia Meridian. It's summertime, and it's hot. It is hot as hell outside. But the deals at Kia of Meridian are even hotter. They have 1.9% on the 2025 Sorrento and Sportage. And do you need a low payment and a great warranty? The Kia K4 has payments as low as $379 a month with school sports fast approaching. What a better way than to get yourself a brand new Kia Carnival. We have over 70 new vehicles in stock, so come see us or give us a call at area code 601-483-6444. And do not forget that when you buy a car from Kia of Meridian, you're going to go in there, Trav, and say, Trav, pull it out. Pull it out, Trav. Pull it out. What I want to do, I want to spin the wheel and win awesome prizes like a PS5, an Xbox, a TV, and more. So check them out at Kia of Meridian. And all kidding aside, if you like fun videos, they do a phenomenal job on TikTok
Destiny
and Instagram.
Does, yeah.
No, this is Trav.
Oh, Trav at Kia, yeah.
They do a great job like these. Just they're funny. Their TikToks are great. They make great videos. Go check them out at Kia of Meridian. How about that?
We got a super chat from Austin. He says, my family's divided. Wow. Family's divided.
Don't do that.
Says, I've gotten tired of recruiting out of high school news. However, my older family members think high school recruiting is paramount.
They all do, brother.
I'm not saying it's irrelevant, but it's not God.
What do you mean? I don't know what to tell you. I mean, I think I've been pretty clear on this one, Austin. Not you, but I'm saying when you go over there, hey Neal, here in about 21 days or so, when you get deep, inside the Rebels, you find that when you're deep inside the Rebels, it tells you how long you've been a member, right? Yeah. Every single person that complains about recruiting has been like a member for like 275 months. I mean, you're like, damn, God, God, dang, huh? Come on, man. Recruiting has changed. People don't like change. People don't accept change. People don't want to. People don't like that's true. That's true. That's true. People don't like change. I mean, they don't like change so much that they're willing to change their existing structure to somebody else's name. I mean, it happens. I tried. I threw the jig right across the bass's face, and he just let it go. He just let it go. He wasn't hungry. The moon wasn't aligned. I tried. You like how I snuck that one in? But recruiting has changed. And look, it's
the moon wasn't aligned.
At the end of the day, here's what recruiting is. Recruiting is trying to find value in players, paying the ones that you can get, but you can't pay them all. The days of going and getting 10 5-star guys and rev share are gone. Now, you're going to see some teams. I'm letting you know this. So you can say, this is why. You can go to your water cooler. You can go to your uncles, your grandmas. When you go, well, why aren't we doing it? This team over here signing 10 5-star guys. Those teams front-loaded their roster for 2025 and have more money in rev share. But the tax bill is going to come due in the 2027 season because they've set it up to where they can push it that long. But the days of just going and signing a bunch of 5-star guys, you just can't afford to do it anymore. So you're going to have to find value in players. That's just you got to pay the right ones. That's the trick, and retain the ones that you think are good players. That's the trick. I mean, it's not rocket science. But you got to be a good evaluator, and you got to go find guys that, like you got to go get that. You got to go find. You got to dig. You got to go find Evan Ingrams. You got to go find Mike Hiltons. You got to go find Snoop Connors. You got to go find guys that Cedric Johnson. You got to go find guys that like Cedric Johnson. Here's a great example for Ole Miss fans. Cedric Johnson. We actually signed them both, but we didn't know if we were going to sign the other one. There was one really heavily recruited kid that was like. Really, he was a high 4-star, but he was a heavily recruited kid at a heavily recruited area, had all these offers. We actually had Cedric graded ahead of him from a evaluation standpoint, and they played the same position. We didn't have to beat anybody. Like we had with Tennessee. Tennessee was the only team we really had to beat on Cedric. But with family tie, I knew the family and things like we were able to, have some leeway there. Instead of having to beat 10 people and outbid 10 people for a guy, you're going to have to find guys that you may only have to outbid one team on. You're going to have to find value and ways to work in high school recruiting and trust your evaluations. So, what you'll see if, as Neal likes to say with asterisks, double asterisks, italicized and bold, if this system lasts at any point in time, the people who can evaluate talent will come to the top and the people who can't will suffer.
And I guess conceivably there's more parity.
No, there will be that either way. I mean, and you'll have, example, quarterbacks. Like quarterbacks is one position. You can take the top 50 quarterbacks talent-wise in the country and you can stumble up on the board. The ones that have the most shit about their neck and most competitive character, they always find their way to the top. They always find their way to being a good quarterback. So you're going to have these instances where a guy, well, look, John Mateer, he goes to, look at Josh Allen. He goes to Wyoming. You're going to have these teams that hit on guys and now can afford to keep them with rev share that they may not. Rev share is going to help some teams too now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
Rev share is going to help some teams.
Sure.
If they couldn't raise this money in their collective before and now they can, it's going to help some teams.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Some teams it's going to hurt because it's less money than what they were paying before.
Yeah.
But a lot of teams it's going to help at least retain their talent.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you go hit on a guy and you don't want him to go, he doesn't have to go because you can pay him.
Thanks to everyone in the chat. Appreciate all of you guys. Fun show today. Hope everybody enjoyed it. Alan's got a good question. We're going to get to it right this moment, but he says, how do you think schools will divvy up rev share between transfers and high school classes? I think what they'll do is they'll process some high school guys and save that and then redistribute that money to transfers. Quickly,
I'm not going into detail about it. Quickly, though, a transfer portal guy, you kind of know what you're getting more. It's more predictable for success or failure than a high school kid. So you're going to, the problem is the actual portal is going to be less fruitful because teams that they're coming from, if they're a good player, are going to pay them to stay and not allow them to go. That's the problem that it was had this year. The portal this year was not as fruitful as it's been in the past, period.
No, it wasn't.
And the reason, because rev share was coming and they were able to talk those kids into staying instead of getting in the portal.
I think where rev share for transfer portal is going to get interesting is going to be with programs that decide that, hey, you know what? We're not going to be able to really compete in football. We're going to save a little money instead of spending, and I'm just throwing a number out. Instead of spending 16.5 on football, we're going to spend 14.5 on football. We're going to save $2 million and we're going to move that into basketball. And so instead of having 3 for basketball, we're going to have 5. And
that's the sport's going to have market restriction.
That's the goal.
I think real talk. I know we got to go. Real talk. I think basketball in my opinion, is in a much worse situation financially than any football roster.
There's no question, because they're going to have the most difficult time in the world convincing these guys that the money that guys made 2 years ago doesn't exist anymore.
Again, and they're fine for this year.
Right.
You won't notice anything.
No.
It's going to be next year's team, because the portal, these dudes were getting they were getting paid like NBA dudes. Like relatively, they were getting paid compared to, I mean, they were getting paid.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
well, I mean, look, there's rumblings that Kentucky is holding $3 million out so that they'll have double in basketball what everybody else in the SEC conceivably has. I mean, I don't know if it's true. It's a rumor. I don't know. But
100% back, like Kentucky.
At some point, someone will make decisions like that.
Kentucky, do we agree they spend a lot of money in NIL on basketball team this coming year? Do we agree? Is that a safe assumption?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I'll tell you the number.
I know that 20-ish, right?
I don't know if it's that high, but it's up there.
That was on Twitter somewhere. Okay. Whatever.
I mean, like, I'm always so nervous about doing numbers and stuff.
They will. It will. Do you think it's a safe
assumption? There are multiple SEC programs in basketball that this year have a $9+ million. Right. So here's where I'm going.
Exactly.
Multiple, like at least half.
Yeah.
$9 million plus salaries on their basketball team. And a year from now, if this holds and they commit fully to football, you just simply won't have that money,
brother.
And so you're going to have to cut people's pay. And the problem is that the agents know how much guys made, and they're going to come back looking for the same amount. And when the schools go,
see what had happened was,
hey, my guy, we don't have that. He's going to say, what the hell you mean you don't have it? You had it. And they'll say, well, we did, but we don't. And then he's got to, and then he's got to go to the player and say, hey, look, I think you ought to go to Alaska State. They were really good. Yeah, but you told me that Joe Smith got $1.8 million and they just offered me $800,000. And he's going to say, yeah, and you should take that. And he's going to say, are you out of your mind? And this thing's going to get, the basketball thing is going to be an absolute, it's going to be an absolute shit show circus.
Football's getting all the attention. In my opinion, that's going to be the worst one. Let me tell you what really bothers me. Last thing. Let me tell you what really bothers me more than anything is when you're talking about that agent that's going to that basketball kid. A lot of these guys aren't certified agents.
No.
Okay.
What?
They don't give a shit about the kid. They will send him to whoever the highest bidder is so they can line their pockets more. So they're going to take a kid that's in a good situation because they can't see the forest because the trees are in the way. They're going to take a kid that's getting a couple $100,000. Let's say a kid's making $250, Neal. Okay, he's $250. Hey, I want, goes to school. I want $500. Well, we can't give you $500. All right, I'm going to send you to Alaska State because they're going to give you $500. And that's going to hinder that kid's development. And he's going to get lost. He'll be away from home. He's going to be miserable. But if somebody's willing to pay it, they don't care about the kid. Like, there's no agent, okay? This is what really bothers me, is there's no agent that's sitting there and saying, like, looking at the kid and going, hey, man, like this, Nico needed this guy. There's no hand-raised guy. Hey, Nico, look, I know you want more money, man. I really do, man. But do you really think going to UCLA and not practicing with that team is better for your development than playing on being the starting quarterback here at Tennessee for another year? Maybe you should just they made you a generous offer. Maybe you should just stay here and develop your skills to become an NFL quarterback. There's nobody saying that. No, they're going, oh, this team offered me 4, this team offered me 5. I'm going to get paid. There's no one there to have an honest conversation with the kid that, like, wait a minute, this is, it's more money, but it's not what's best for you. And those guys don't exist.
No.
And that's the problem. That's one of the biggest problems in this whole world that we're in, and nobody reports on it. And that makes me mad because all they want to report about is fucking Hugh Freeze's fucking handicap instead of the real fucking situations going on in college athletics. That's what pisses me off. They don't want to talk about, they pick and choose. My man Lane's out here catching bluefin tuna. Nobody's saying shit about that. Lane, why aren't you recruiting? You only have 2 top 20 guys in the country. 2 top 10 guys in your state. Why aren't you recruiting? Why? Because he's not winning. Pick and choose. How about focusing on the real fucking issues, which is why kids are making dumbass decisions because somebody's charging 20, 30, 40. Hell, there's one in this state, just letting you know, There's a fucking trainer in this state that's taking 50% from a kid. 50%. Why aren't y'all reporting on that? That's some bullshit. Anyway, I'm done before I get myself in trouble.
Then he won't talk to him anymore.
Yeah.
He won't tell him anymore.
But they don't want to report on that because they, you know, I don't want to hurt nobody's feelings, or my network won't let me report on it. You know, because my network tells me who I gotta talk about.
I mean, AJ saying that he was full of shit went pretty viral. So just saying.
Yeah, AJ, I love AJ.
I love AJ. We got to get AJ on soon.
Oh, he's doing Mondays.
Okay. Oh,
he got that working his deal.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Hey, breaking news! AJ McCarron right here.
Breaking news.
Aggregate that, boys. AJ McCarron returning to McCready and Siskey this fall on Mondays.
Yeah, he's gonna do them.
How about that?
That's my guy.
All right. The plan is we will have a Monday show. It is going to be later in the afternoon on Monday. So it won't be at 2. Maybe it'll be at 4. I don't know. We'll
figure it out.
We'll let you know. We'll figure something out. Hell, we might even do something crazy and open phone lines or something. Who knows?
Oh, let's do that. We'll get some alcohol involved. Hey, that's too much setup. I was like, you know what would be a good show? Is let's crack some cold ones, like on the grill. Let's get the grill fired up, crack some cold ones, hang out. You can put this chat on the TV. That'd be a great show.
We'd have to get cameras and stuff out there.
That's what I'm saying. I know that'd be too much of production.
Yeah, I don't know that I know how to do that.
All right. Oh, well. It was a good idea.
It was a good idea. All right. We'll talk to you guys on Monday. Have a great weekend. Enjoy your weekend. Talk to you soon.